Hey everybody, I'm Dakota Gordon and this is Dakota's Music World. Today I'm joined by a very special guest, legendary guitarist, composer, and producer, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, who's worked with bands like Asia, Sons of Apollo, Guns N' Roses, and many, many more. Ron, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. It's truly an honor.
Thank you. The honor is mine.
Do you prefer Ron? Do you prefer Bumblefoot?
Ron is fine.
Okay, cool. We'll stick with Ron then. First of all, and it actually has to do with Bumblefoot, I know you've probably explained this just about a million times, but I was wondering if you could talk to me a little bit about how that nickname got started. I think I know the story a little bit, but just for people who don't know.
Sure. So 35 years ago, it must have been now. My wife was in veterinary school and I was helping her study, and one of the ailments was ulcerative pododermatitis, also known as Bumblefoot. And I got inspired, so I wrote a song called Bumblefoot. And a couple of years later, I had my first record deal where I'm putting out my first solo album. So I had this crazy idea. It's like, all right, the adventures of Bumblefoot, and it'll be like this character, this half bee, half foot thing, and every song will be named after a different animal disease, all the weird ones that I came across helping her study: fistulous withers, rinderpest, blue tongue, strawberry foot rot, all these weird diseases, ailments, and put out the album. And then after that, I'm putting out all this weird music, seemed like it would be a fitting band name. So I started calling the band Bumblefoot. And as the guy kind of running with the ball in the band, it just became like a nickname because I was pretty much writing the songs, I was doing the recording, I was the record label, I was singing, I was doing the press, and just out of necessity, it had to be done. And there you go. So after all those years, it became a nickname.
Yeah, I think it really stuck and it helped set you apart in the industry, I think. It kind of made you that one-man show that everybody wanted to be, kind of.
I'm not sure if it worked for me or against me, having the name of a cartoon character. But here it is. Yes.
And speaking of getting to your first album, I know you kind of had an interesting start into your career, just from starting to learn guitar, because guitar wasn't even your first choice of instrument. I mean, was it even your second choice of instrument?
No. All I cared about was being in a band. I loved the Beatles and Kiss and all the bands that, as I was growing up in the 70s, it was about the songs and what they all contributed, what they created together. And I just wanted to be part of that. I didn't care what I played. I just wanted to be part of the team, where in the end, you're making these songs that make people feel as good as those songs made me feel. So I wanted to be a drummer. I was 5, 6 years old. I couldn't be a drummer. So then I was like, all right, I want to be a bass player like Gene Simmons. He was a cool character in Kiss. So went to a music store. I was like, I want to start taking bass lessons. And they're looking at me, and like a bass is this tall and I'm like, foot below it, this tall. And they knew that I wouldn't have the wingspan to be able to play one. So they said, in order to play bass, you have to take 2 years of acoustic guitar lessons. And I was like, damn, all right, well, whatever I have to do. So they tricked me into taking guitar lessons for years. And that's how I became a guitar player. I got tricked into it.
That's crazy. You went from wanting to be a drummer to being a bass player to being one of the best rock guitarists today. So it's pretty, I mean, it's pretty cool to see how that wasn't even your first choice and yet you still became so great.
It was really about just you just need to be good enough to play your own songs. And when you're learning other people's songs that you like, getting good enough to play those. So, you get better as you go. And it was just about songs. It was always about that. And I sang, I wrote, I played guitar, and I played whatever else I could dabble in just enough to record a song. And really, my main love is more producing, which is what makes those songs happen and makes them come to life. the way you shape a song, the way you dress a song up for that final version of it that a listener hears and the experience they get from it. That's what I love. And the guitar is just one of the tools in the tool belt to get there. Yeah.
And then also, speaking of your producing, I mean, you've worn so many hats throughout your career. I mean, you've been a band member, a solo artist in many bands too, including your own. And then you've also been a producer, a teacher, a guitar player, obviously. And it's just, you've done so much all within this career. So when somebody comes up to you who's never heard of you before or heard your music before, what do you usually describe yourself as?
A guy who likes to eat. Um, I don't know. I usually just say, you know, mainly a guitar player, but I love, I'd say solo artist, producer. And I play guitar, write songs, sing, teach, and everything else that completes a world of music that you want to have. Yeah.
And I mean, this is the part I really wanted to get into here about your album that came out. It was last year, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Returns. I mean, it's an amazing album and it's all instrumental, which I love because this is your second, I think, all instrumental album. You've done a lot with your voice too, which we'll get into later, but I really love the instrumental. And what's cool about it is each song kind of has its own voice, even though there's no vocals in it. And two of the songs have some really cool artists, and actually more than two of them, but one of them has Steve Vai on it, and then you have one that has Queen's Brian May, which, I mean, he's just a legend, and I think that's my favorite song on the album, Once and Forever, with Brian May. I mean, what's cool about it is you can hear your style in it, and then you can also hear, if you close your eyes while you're listening to it, it's like, there's that Killer Queen guitar, or there's that Bohemian Rhapsody guitar, and it's just his style with your music colliding just makes for such a cool sound. What was it like getting to work with artists like Steve Vai and Brian May, who are absolute legends on this album?
I mean, it's wonderful. It's what the song needed. And you said it yourself. Like you close your eyes and you picture that. If he wasn't there, you'd still be picturing it, but it wouldn't be there. It needed him. Both songs needed them. Every song on there, whoever contributed, is because that song needed those people to make it the best the song could be. Yeah, there's a couple of cool guests on there. Jerry Gaskill, the drummer of the band King's X, phenomenal band. He plays drums on that song with Brian May. My Sons of Apollo bandmate Derek Sherinian, he heard the song as I was working on it, and he's like, "Oh, you can't use one of those VST plugins. You need a real Hammond B3 on there. Let me throw something down." So he threw down something on there. Everything else, the incredible drumming on that album is all Kyle Hughes, who I met when he was like 16 years old. His band backed me up for a show I did out in the UK, and he really stood out, and he was just phenomenal. And he was great to work with. His parents were super cool, and I was like, you know what, I want this guy to be my drummer. And he has been ever since. And he's going on to do lots of great things. He's working with Evan Stanley, Paul Stanley's son from Kiss, and he's getting a nice list of people that he's played with, recorded with, toured with, everything. And he should be a household name. He's that good. So I am honored to have him on my album, making all those crazy drum parts possible. Who else is on there? We have Ben Karras from this amazing band, Thank You Scientist. You got to check out this band. They are so interesting. And the violinist. As I was making that song, Funeral March, originally the idea was piano. And then as the song developed and grew, I was like, no, this needs like a tear-jerker crying violin in there. And I hit him up and said, here's how it goes, do your thing. And he did. It was just beautiful, thanks to him. The Steve Vai song, that song Monstruoso, it needed to come crashing back in with this insane, out of this world guitar solo. It sounds like aliens screaming at you. And he's the guy for that, to make a guitar sound like it's from a different galaxy. So he threw it down and he made it exactly what it should be. Everyone on there, Brian May. I told him, I said, look, this song needs you. Uh, Showed him the part, and he's like, yeah, and he put down his thing, and beautiful. Yeah, it's exactly what the song needed. It's about the songs. Yeah. So you get the people that will, oh, and of course Guthrie Govan, who's an incredible, one of the greatest guitar players out there. And that song, Anvashana, that was the first song I started working on with the idea of making a new instrumental album. And the first thing I did is I took this riff I had since I was 19 years old that I never made a song with.
Oh, wow.
And that was 1989. And at that same time, I got my first legit thing happen. I got a write up in a national guitar magazine. And Guthrie wrote to me. He sent me, back then there was no email, it was all handwritten letters. And I get a letter in the mail introducing himself, and we became pen pals. And we would write to each other and send each other cassettes of demo ideas and riffs and things. And we were these little guitarist pen pals from all the way back then. So the song came from the same time that I first met him, and it's the first thing I'm writing for the album. It just seemed like to complete the circle, he was the guy for it to trade off back and forth with, and then he did it. Yeah. So there's a bit of personal story, or just, the song comes first. This is what's needed for the song kind of thing behind everybody who contributed wonderfully to the album. Yeah. And then I just did the rest. Yeah.
When you're writing each song on the album, are you like visualizing, okay, this is who needs to play drums on this. I need this person on keys. I need this person on, or do you have an idea of what you're looking for?
You're visualizing, but the image gets clearer as you go on. At first, it's this very pixelated, blurry image as it's all just a ball of gas coming together. And the more it solidifies, the more you kind of see the detail and know what's needed. Yeah, it was wonderful being able to have heroes like Steve Vai and Brian May contribute to the music. Yeah, I'm thankful. It's a weird feeling. It's not even like I'm so thankful personally. It's like I'm thankful for what they did for my children, my songs. Just giving them the life that they should have, making them what they needed to be, their DNA being part of it. That's kind of how it feels. But yeah, you start to picture these things. Like I was finishing that song Once and Forever, and all I could hear was Brian May in there. And anything else would be a poor imitation.
And you can hear that in the song. You could hear that that's the only guitar that's the only guitar with the only set of hands that would have worked on that song.
Yeah. His spirit, his sound, that's what would complete that song. And he did wonderfully. Yeah.
And also just going beyond the guests on the album, I mean, it's such a cool album, and you could tell that it was, even based off of how you're talking about it, was such a passion project for you. I mean, you have the awesome music videos. The Simon in Space music video is really cool because you're making a sound that sounds like you're in outer space. And then the video's outer space, but then the cool thing is you go a few songs later, and then you have the Moonshine Hootenanny, and I mean, it's on the same album. It's the same person playing guitar, and it's just a totally different sound, which I love because it's not just like the same style going down the album. You have all, and then the music video is so different too, which I love. And then also you have the accompanying video game, which fits pretty well with the overall theme of the album. And I got addicted to that video game for a couple days. I'm not gonna lie.
Just like rapid fire arcade game.
Just like an 80s game on your computer, which is awesome. It's fun to play during class. I'm not gonna lie.
So yeah, there's a dude, Radek Grabinski, out in Poland that has a video game company, and I've known him for years. And as I was posting, saying, "Oh, I'm starting to work on this music video or whatever," he reached out. He's like, "Let me help you with the video. I could definitely improve it," and he certainly did, because everything I was doing for the video looked like South Park. Like it looked like, cutouts and which has its charm, but he made it really nice. He took it. It was a year of work getting that thing done.
I mean,
And
it turned out great. It tur- and being that it was like such a passion project, and it was really your first album in quite some time that was you. It wasn't with some band, or it wasn't with other members having deciding factors. Kind of, what was it like to have full control over this album?
a lot of well, most of my solo albums have been like that, but I haven't done a solo album in such a long time. Like everything for the like 10 years has been uh, being a co-writer and producer for Art of Anarchy. That had Scott Weiland on the first album singing, Scott Stapp from Creed on the second album singing, Jeff Scott Soto, my Sons of Apollo bandmate, on the third album singing. Then building the songs from the ground up with Sons of Apollo and making that. And then instead of a third album with them, it became Whom Gods Destroy. And it was just Derek and I writing, collaborating together. Yeah, and then producing bands like the Doties and Shavrock and all these other bands. So getting back to just doing something where it's just complete 100% personal expression feels good. But I do need both. If I did only that, I would be itching to work with someone and collaborate with someone. If all I'm doing is collaborating with other people, it's like, all right, I need the whole pizza pie for myself, at least for one meal. So it's nice to have the diversity, and that's the best thing. It keeps you from burning out. You want to be diverse in the type of gigs you do and the type of music you put out in everything. Yeah.
I mean, and speaking of your solo albums, I believe the one right before this, Little Brother is Watching, that's such an amazing album too, and it's kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum, because this one you're really showing off the different techniques and the creative mind of the guitar that you have, and that one is more showing off like making a traditional rock and roll song with, and you're singing on that one, which I think a lot of people know you for your guitar, but your voice too is just as good, and I think it doesn't get enough show compared to the guitar, but it's really cool to hear you're singing on that album. I especially love Don't Know Who to Pray To Anymore. That was probably my favorite on the album. The music video for it is pretty intense. I recommend watching it to anybody who hasn't, but that song is just such like a deep song too.
Yeah, that's a heavy one. I filmed it in like 3 countries, but we filmed it in the north of Israel at this Roman bathhouse, and I think it's the only music video ever allowed to be shot there. Uh, yeah, and then all the other stuff is in Croatia. Near Split, there's the fortress of Klis. I think they shot a lot of Game of Thrones there too. And and then there was stuff that I shot in Ireland at this 4,000-year-old ring fort on the top of this hill, but it was so windy that I remember as we were filming, like an amp fell over and the camera was shaking and we couldn't use the drone. So in the end, we just had to scrap it all. But yeah, and then the director of that, phenomenal, Bohan Kociak from Croatia, phenomenal. He's an amazing video director, and he does a lot of the bigger stars out in that part of the world, and he came up with all the settings. He built like 12 different sets, I think, and like he made the hospital room and all these things and got all the extras and everything and made the different stories. Like we kind of collaborated on story ideas, but he made that video something. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like you're watching a short film. Basically, it's very creative. It tells a story, and
Yeah.
you can't ask for much more out of a music video.
Yeah.
I wanted to touch a little bit on the Guns N' Roses. Just I don't want to harp on it, but I just want to talk a little bit about it. During your time with Guns N' Roses, you obviously joined a band that was already very well defined. It was its established band fan base, its established sound, its established style. What was it like trying to find your place in a band that's already so established and kind of bringing out your own style in something that had a style and you were finding your place in that?
Well, for playing live, I sort of inherited which parts I'd be playing from previous members. It's like, oh, he played that part, so you play that part. It's like, cool. And then when someone else left, uh, when someone else joined, it was like, all right, he played those parts, so you're playing those parts, like same kind of thing. So it was a lot of inherited parts that were played. I definitely changed how I played a little bit. I wasn't going to be overly wacky because it's not that kind of band. It would be too foreign. It would be throwing too sour an orange into the apple juice, changing its whole flavor and everything. And so, yeah, I just did what I could. I was being myself, but at the same time trying to think of what's right for the song and definitely trying not to rewrite the song. Like if there's a melody, you play that melody. If there's a part where it's more just, a lot of quick soloing, then that's a moment where maybe you could do your own thing a bit more. When it came to recording, doing the Chinese Democracy album, yeah, those songs were already written and a good portion of the songs were complete. So that was tougher to figure out what I could do that added something of worth to the song without stepping on anything that's already there. So that was more challenging. And in the end, Axel and Karam, the producer, just decided what they wanted to use, what they didn't want to use. I would give them for each song something bluesy, something technical, something with a wah pedal, something rigid, something loose and just kind of vibey. And they would just put in, chop, whatever they thought fit best. And it was their vision that I was happy to contribute to. Yeah.
That's awesome, and I think that's great about trying to find the right place for your own personal style to shine, and then finding the place that it's like, okay, this is what it's supposed to be. So that's really cool. I also want to talk about another collaboration you did. I actually a few weeks ago had the chance to interview Russ Dwarf from the Killer Dwarfs. And I know you've gotten to play with him a couple times on some of his solo shows. So I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about what your experience was like getting the chance to play with him and what he's like as a musician, and then also just like as a person and as someone you know.
I love him dearly on every level. He just checks all the boxes of wonderful. Yes, absolutely. It's always such a good time just hanging out with them. We we laugh so much backstage. It's ridiculous, and have these ongoing jokes for years. With his whole band, stay in touch with Bobby and Rob and Pat, and yeah, they're just great. And his voice, yeah, he's just as amazing as he ever was. And yeah, I miss him. Yeah, I hope we get to do something soon.
Yeah.
We're due. It's time. We're due.
It's time. It's time to do it again. Yeah, we were just talking about that. There's a lot of musicians who sadly aren't able to like hit the same notes they were, but I mean, Russ isn't one of them. He's still going strong with those notes that, I mean, I'm 20 and I couldn't even try to hit. It wouldn't sound very good. So,
it's phenomenal. Yeah.
I also wanted to touch on another new song that was just released. I think it was released 2 weeks ago, Dice and Thunder.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
That song, I mean, it's just so cool to see the kind of collaborations you've been doing, but that song especially. I mean, you have Chris Poland from Megadeth. You have Ronnie Romero, who's worked with Rainbow quite a bit. And then you also have, obviously, the iconic Rick Wakeman from Yes. I mean, that's just a crazy lineup for one song. And the song's great, too, but what I have a question about is you have the Megadeth sound coming from one side, and then you also have somebody who has that Yes sound, which is totally different. I mean, they're both rock, but it's totally two different spectrums of it. So how do you
Yeah, like
balance that when you're making?
chocolate sauce and pork chops are both food, yet you wouldn't necessarily put them together. Uh, well, maybe you would mole sauce, but yeah, see, it all goes back to food.
That's what the song is. That's what the song is. It's mole sauce. It's how did
So
you balance that?
that is all the masterminds at this record label, Cleopatra Records. They put together, they're the ones who make it happen. They come up with these ideas, whether it's like a metal album of yacht rock, like metal versions of yacht rock songs, or this Dyson Thunder, like that whole thing. Uh, yeah, they would hit me up and say, hey, you want to play on this song? And they send me the song. It's like, yeah, sure. So I throw something down, and at that point, I don't know who else is on it. So it's a surprise to me when it comes out and I see all these names I actually didn't know. I didn't know Chris Poland and Wakeman and Ryan. I didn't know they were going to be on there. No. So, yeah. So I cannot take any credit for such an interesting collaboration. That all goes to them. They come up with some interesting mixes. I remember the first one I did with them, it was, I think the album was called We Wish You a Metal Christmas, and it came out in like 2008 or 2009. And that had Lips from Anvil on it, and I'm trying to remember who else was on there, but I've done a bunch over the years for a long time now. And it's always a complete surprise when I see who else played and sang and everything. It's like, oh my God, I never would have expected that. Just like a few months before, there was, it was a Christmas song that I did with Graham Bonnet singing, and I didn't know he was going to be singing on there. It's like, oh my God, I can just, yeah. So that is Cleopatra Records that made that happen. And I am as shocked as you. Yeah.
That's really cool though. So I mean, nobody knows who else is going to be on this album, or is it just you who didn't know?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe if I was the first person to lay guitar,
Maybe they didn't know.
right? So maybe they didn't get in the picture yet, and then when they did, it's like, well, he already laid guitar, so they knew I was there. And as each person recorded, and it was included for the next person to play on, they would know. I think, honestly, I don't know if they knew or not.
That honestly makes it cooler. I think
Yeah,
because it's not like you're all in a room together figuring this out. It's like everybody is just putting their own style down organically, and then they bring it together to make it cohesive.
it's like we're all blindfolded, and then when the song comes out, we take off the blindfold. It's like you, and yeah, it's cool. It makes it fun, and that's the kind of stuff that I like. Like there's the two sides. There's one where just in life where you feel like you need to be in control, and then there's the other side where you just want to just let the roller coaster go where it's going and just put your arms up and scream and let it take you where it's going to take you.
That's awesome. That's such a unique experience. I wanted to talk a little bit about your guitars because you have so many iconic guitars. I feel like in my mind, what pops up in my head is the Swiss cheese guitar. But you have so many other guitars too. How did the Swiss cheese guitar become part of your identity as a player in the first place?
That goes back to around 1982. I was 12 years old, turning 13. That's when I heard Van Halen for the first time. I was kind of late hearing them. They've already been out for years. And it was just mind blowing. It was just changed everything. And it changed how I looked at guitar. The way guitar was just a tool in the tool belt for making a song. And once I heard Van Halen, I was like, no, the guitar is more than that. It's this whole other voice, this expression, and you could be so creative with it and so experimental with it. And I started getting very experimental. And I started hacking up my guitars and doing strange things to them and seeing what would happen if I rip off all the frets and put just a bunch of coins on it and try and play on the surface of these metal coins. That was my attempt to make a metal fretless neck. And I am not a guitar builder. I am a guitar destroyer. luckily, years later, I teamed up with a company that knows how to build them correctly. Vigier Guitars, Vigier, out in France. And I've been playing their guitars now for 29 years, is it? Yeah. They know how to build guitars. I do not. I know how to ruin guitars. So I had this guitar that when I was 12 and I was starting to buy gear, pedals and pickups and wiring them in and experimenting and things. The way I would earn money at that age to get gear is I would paint album covers on the backs of dungaree jackets. And I was pretty decent at it. So I would get a lot of requests for Iron Maiden albums for like 20 bucks. And I would paint Killers or Number of the Beast or when that came out. And I would paint a lot of album covers on the backs of dungaree jackets until I had enough money to buy up the gear. And at that same music store that told me I needed to play guitar before I could become a bass player, they had this Ibanez Roadstar 1983 guitar there, and it was like 180 bucks. I was like, I can afford that. Just a few more jackets. I could get that. And I did. And then when I got it, the first thing I did is I chipped off the black paint and I hung a bunch of skeleton keys on it all around it and just started weirding it out. And it was a very weird guitar, but it was so heavy with all those keys on it. And then eventually I was thinking, I want it to look like I took a bite out of it. So I got a drill with some pretty big drill bits and started doing it. And in the end, it's like, that didn't work. Looks like shit. Doesn't look like a bite. It just looks like the screwed up guitar. So I just started doing more and more and putting holes in it and just eating away at the body of it until it looked like a piece of cheese, Gruyere. And then I went to an auto body shop with a slice of Swiss cheese and slapped it on the desk. I was like, can you match this color? And I remember the guy looked at me and just with a strange face, he's like, I forgot exactly what he said. It's fading, but he said something like, a few days ago, someone came in with a slice of watermelon asking for that color. But he did. He mixed up a batch of yellow paint for me, and I painted the guitar yellow, and now this became the Swiss cheese guitar. And then after that, I reached out to DiMarzio pickups, and they came up with a nice pickup configuration of a tone zone pickup here and a chopper pickup by the neck and a 5-way toggle switch where it's like the tone zone is a normal humbucker or bright, rock sounding thing. And then the next setting, it sounds a little more kind of bluesy-ish as a single coil. And then the two together, which is more of just like a cleaner and nice sound to it. And then those two pickups out of phase, which has this bright, weird quacking kind of sound to it. And then just the neck pickup, which is just a good fat sounding thing. And that became my setup that I use for all my guitars with those pickups and that setting, that configuration. But that was my main guitar that I recorded albums with and toured all over the world with for a good 13 years until I met up with Vigier Guitars and they started making guitars for me. So yeah, so that was the Swiss cheese guitar. That was my thing. And I have a lot of screwed up guitars that I still have them all. And yeah, until 1997, or actually 98, 97, 98, they gave me one to take home I started recording with. But 98, they gave me a fretless guitar, and then 99, they made the one that looks like a giant foot with the wings that pop out when you bend the bar down, and then doing the double neck fretless guitars, which has been my main thing since like 2009, that I just use for everything because I got so into playing fretless that I didn't want to have to choose fretless for an entire song, take off the guitar, switch to a fretted. Wanted to have both. So we thought about retractable frets and thought about a neck that flips, like one side is fretted, the other is fretless, but the most practical thing and useful thing was to have a double neck with a fretless neck and a fretted neck.
That's awesome. And the double neck guitar is awesome because you have that steel. Is it steel, the fretless?
Stainless steel, yeah.
That's really cool. And you could especially see what that's able to do on your new album. A lot of the space sounding things came from that fretless part, I think, based
All
off
that
of what I saw.
weird slidey notes and yeah, yeah.
It sounds like an alien sometimes. It's so cool. Before we wrap up, I've got to ask you about your hot sauce brand.
Yes.
I think it's so awesome. I mean, just the names. You have the sauce, which I'm assuming is kind of your main one, and then you have Bumblicious, you have Moonshine Hootenanny, and then my favorite sounding one is Bumblefucked. I just ordered one of each because it
Oh,
should be coming soon. I'm waiting for it. I'm excited because I'm a big hot sauce person. My friends make fun of me. I pretty much put it on every single thing I eat. So walk me through a little bit about how you got into the hot sauce business to begin with, and then maybe what each sauce is kind of about.
so it began also when I was about 12 years old. My older cousin Steve, he bet me $5, and again, I'm saving up for gear, that I couldn't eat a hot pepper. So it's like, well, every $5 counts. And ate one, it's like, I like this. I liked it. And just started putting hot peppers on all my sandwiches and getting hot sauce. And then as people who knew me knew I liked hot sauce, it's like, happy birthday, and hot sauce. Next thing you know, the fridge is like just full of bottles of all different types of hot sauces. And at that point, it's like being a musician. It's like you have a record collection. And then it's like, wow, I'm so inspired. I want to start making music. And the same thing happened. It's like, I love all these hot sauces. I want to start making hot sauce. And a friend of mine, he's a former wrestler named Brimstone. And he was getting into it with this company called K-John's out in Ohio, an established company that was doing a line of I don't know, I wouldn't call them celebrity sauces, maybe for lack of a better term. I'm not a celebrity, but
I would say you are.
just, I mean, guitar players know me, which is fine. That's fine. I don't like fame. So I'm fine with that. If I'm putting out music that people like and the music is still around when I'm gone, I'm happy. That's all I want. But the hot sauce, yes. So I met up with this company in 2012, and I had all these flavor ideas, and we got in the kitchen and started working together, and they had their ideas, which were professional ideas, compared to my amateur ideas, and they made them come to life, and they had their own, things that they like, all right, we had a line of sauces, and then they sold the company a couple of years later, so I was like, all right, let me get my own manufacturer, my label maker, my distributor, reach out to other distributors in different countries, and Bumblefoot's hot sauce. So there is the sauce. An all-purpose, leave it on your table, mild, delicious sauce with Mediterranean herbs. It's more complex than just vinegar, salt, and peppers. It's got more to it. I wanted a sauce that goes with everything, and this is the sauce that does. So from your morning eggs to dinner and everything in between, this is the sauce that you should just keep on the table for all purposes, all eating. And then something barbecuey, Bumblicious, cherry, bourbon, chipotle. It is delicious, and it just goes with anything. Like stick it on steak, put it on your stir fry, on veggies, put it on chicken, put it on wings. Actually, they both go on wings if you want something more red and something more barbecuey. So it is a mild, delicious, barbecuey kind of hot sauce. And the most recent one that I came out with, which goes with the song Moonshine Hootenanny off the album, I was inspired by a bunch of friends. I had this visit down to Louisiana where I made a bunch of friends, and we did this hot sauce event down there. And just wonderful time over there. I got so inspired. I wanted to make something that would go with some Louisiana kind of food. Moonshine Hootenanny. So this sauce, I mean, it doesn't have Worcestershire in it, but it does have a lot of the other things that work. And yeah, so Moonshine Hootenanny hot sauce. Also, it's not too hot, just more flavor. All these are more flavor than fire, except for the one you named,
Bumblefucked.
Bumblefoot. This one is just disgusting. It is pure pain. It's something you get for your enemies, or if you just really don't like yourself. For people that like to cry and have a runny nose and sweat while they eat, this is the one for that. Just a dot of it on the tongue will light your mouth on fire for 10 seconds, and then somehow it works its way to the rest of your body. And everything from your mouth to your gut just feels like you're in an oven inside and just heat. And it's a very unpleasant feeling that lasts for a good 10 to 15 minutes. And then after it finally subsides, oddly, you want to do it again. And it's just, yeah. So if you, let's say you want to take your chili and kick it up a notch, or your wings, or your Kung Pao chicken, or your Thai food, or Indian, anything that has a kick and you want to give it a bigger kick, just one drop of this on the plate mixed in everything will do it. And you could also, if you, let's say you want your other sauces, the sauce, Bumblicious, you want to kick them up a notch and go from mild to medium or something more, just put in a little tiny bit of Bumblefucked with it, and now you've gone from mild to medium or to hot, depending on how much you want to put in. So it is a standalone sauce, but you can also use it to destroy the other sauces. Yeah.
And I love the name of all of them, but especially Bumblefucked. I think that's really funny, and
It's a fitting name.
it's a fitting name. It sounds like it. I can't wait to give it a try. I'm a little scared now, but I can't wait to give it a try. The last question I had for you is kind of just like what you're working on now. So, I mean, I know you've done a lot of performing and a lot of touring in the past, but now you're doing a lot of producing actually, which I think is really cool because you have the passion for that and you're getting to do that. And then also you've spent a lot of time being an educator recently. You have some students who you're teaching, which I think is also really cool because I think people forget that in order for rock to continue, people have to know how to do it in the future. So what's that been like stepping into these two roles? I mean, I know you used to be a teacher, so coming back to that education role and then also getting to do more of that producing side.
I love it. It's the most fulfilling thing. Uh, my favorite thing out of everything I do. Absolutely. And especially at this point in life where I think about living in a van and I'm like, oh, my back. Nah. So at this point, it's better to be a coach and help other people get on the field and use decades of experience. And if I can help other people learn from my mistakes, and just help them get going. So that's really with producing. Bands like the Dodies, an incredible garage rock duo, or Shavrock out in Baltimore that just write these beautiful songs that are just acoustic and lyrics about goodness and storytelling that they pile on just a lot of just good solid rock and just bluesy melodic guitar soloing. It's like very guitar driven on top of this foundation of just acoustic storytelling, nice songs, good stuff. There is Sierra Levesque, kind of in your neck of the woods, not too far, in Pembroke. Yeah, not for those that don't know the map as well, the Ottawa area, not far. Yeah, super talented, and she is a true DIY master. Writes her own music, records every instrument and sings, and then I help her with the mixing, and she's a real go-getter and good performer and phenomenal voice, and yeah. So it's great to work with all these people and see them move forward and grow and see it all happen. Yeah, it's very rewarding to feel like you've been part of someone's journey to where they're going. Absolutely. So there's that, and then of course teaching and anything with that. Love doing that. I've always been a total, geek about music theory and the science behind it all. So I love taking the guitar playing and songwriting and breaking down. I always call it like the Matrix, all the green gunk, showing them what makes it all what it is. Why does this sound happy? Why does it sound sad? Why Does this feel like it's not there yet? And now it's there. All of those things, it's like the math of emotion. I love it. Yeah. So all of that kind of stuff, as well as the noodly, guitar stuff.
No, that's so awesome that somebody at your level is still so down to earth that they're teaching and they're educating and they're helping the future.
Yeah, that's the best part of it. Otherwise, what was it even worth if it dies with you? That's not enough. No, no. And it would be selfish. My whole idea was anything you learn, you teach from the very beginning. So I started teaching guitar when I was 13 years old. At that point, I had a good 6 or 7 years under my belt of academics. So everyone that was just starting out in high school, it's like, all right. And I would give lessons. Recording. I started recording myself just with multiple cassette recorders where I would record to one playback and record on this one and sing along to overdub and multi-track by just bouncing back and forth. And as the gear grew and the recordings got better, start recording other people and do for others. Whatever you do for yourself, you got to do for others. Otherwise, it's a tree falling in a forest. It doesn't mean anything. We're in this world together and it's all about lifting each other up. That whole thing of, a high tide raising all ships. So being part of that's the purpose of life, whatever you do.
That's a great way of putting it. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. It's truly an honor. I appreciate you answering all my questions.
I appreciate your thoughtful, in-depth, excellent questions.
Of course. Yes. Of course. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate you coming on.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you.